It's a blessing to welcome on former Lafayette star and now the newest member of Minnesota, Eylijah Stephens. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, man. Well, let's kind of go through this whole process because we know now you spent an incredible 4-year run at Lafayette. Now you're heading out to Minnesota to spend your final year of extra eligibility. But just take us through how you're feeling right now.
Blessed, thankful for everything Lafayette did for me. Wouldn't trade those 4 years for anything. Coach O, the whole staff, all my teammates. And excited for the new chapter at Minnesota. Can't wait to get up there, get to work, with Coach Johnson, with the guys, and make some big things happen.
We're going to get a line in Minnesota to wrap this interview up, but I want fans to get to know you a little bit better. So let's kind of take us through your story a little bit. You start off out there at Florida, that's where you're from, South Florida to be specific, but just what was like growing up out there?
Beautiful. I love my home state. Love my home city. There's no place like it for the good and the bad. I know a lot of people make fun of Florida, but I love it. Great weather. Little under recruited out of high school. Lafayette took a chance on me, and I made the most of it.
As you mentioned, you grew up in Florida, which is, I think, there's probably two places people could say weather-wise, probably the better places to live in. Florida, California. Obviously, it's not where you've been the last year, and you're definitely not going to be out there in Minnesota now. It's going to be a lot different weather out there too. But just how have you adjusted to the weather change throughout your career so far?
It took some time. Probably took me about 2 years after my freshman and sophomore year to finally get used to the cold weather. But
Mhm.
after a while, you kind of get used to it after living up here 9 months out of the year. I'm not ready for Minnesota yet. That's a completely different ball game, but I'm gonna have to adjust.
Mhm. Well, growing up out there in Florida, we know specifically in terms of basketball, it's one of, not the best area for basketball. Like it's low, top to bottom, no matter where you're at in that state. There's tons of talent out there. So in terms of basketball, like what was like growing up out there?
It was a lot of competition. As you mentioned, throughout the whole entire state, there's guys going D1, guys going pros, whether it be before me during my time or even now, guys in high school playing now after me. So just get to play against that kind of competition, the kind of play style, up tempo, pressure defense, prepared me for college, I would say. Um, yeah, I'm just happy I got the opportunity to play down there, meet a lot of the guys who are D1 now, and we became good friends.
So who would you say were some of those guys like throughout your high school career? Like who was that guy or a couple of teams maybe even that you would say like when you saw them on that schedule, you're super excited to go up against them?
Definitely Blanche Ely High School. They don't have a lot of guys that go to college, but at the time they had Coach Melvin Randall, who was probably the best coach in the state of Florida. They're going to guard you full court, 94 feet, man to man, the entire game. They're the first team I've ever seen get 5 second violations inbounding the ball, where teams couldn't even get the ball in bounds. So
Mhm.
playing against that kind of competition, they're in my district, so I had them 2 times a year. Just playing against that competition is something definitely gets you up, motivated to play against them because they're 3 time, 4 time state champion. So it's definitely good talent over there.
How about some guys like was there anyone specific that you loved going up against, like one-on-one in games? Like who was that guy if you had one?
Jeffrey Prophet. He went to Fort Lauderdale High School. Jeff was number one in the nation in eighth grade. I've been playing against him since fourth grade. He averaged 30 my senior year. He led the state of Florida in scoring. So it's going to be a matchup between me and him. Good guy. Like I said, I know him forever. So we're cool now. But every time you have a chance to go into the leading scorer in the state, it's going to be a fun matchup for sure.
I know there's a little bit of rivalry too, because there's so much talent there in Florida. Obviously, like you said, you got your South Florida, there's North Florida. Like when you look in the two different areas of Florida, or just even maybe just different cities out there in Florida, like who would you say is the best area for Florida in basketball?
As of late, I'm gonna have to go with South Florida, just because of U School, what Vernon Carey and Scotty Barnes did over there. I don't think we'll ever see that again. Then now Calvary Christian has like five-star dudes on their team, so I'm going to get the upper hand to South Florida right now.
I know that a lot of guys in Florida might not count necessarily these guys from Florida. I know some people across the country might regard that even though the guys are not from there, but we do know Florida's home to the two biggest prep schools out there, IMG and Montverde. So, but you guys in the state, like when you talk about those guys that come in from all over the country to play there, do you guys count those guys as Florida guys? Or you guys just talking about the guys truly born there?
We kind of keep it with the guys who born here.
Mhm.
Obviously Montverde, IMG, they're in Florida, but a lot of those guys aren't really from here. So we like to talk about the guys who are actually from Florida as far as Florida guys, as
Mhm.
you would say.
So now when you've gone out both with those AAU or different high school events, but now even college, like when you go out and represent Florida, like what does that mean? Like what comes with being a Florida player when you step on that court, both in Florida but also out of the state?
It's huge. I know probably every single player from Florida wants to put on for Florida because a lot of people think of us as a football state. They don't really look at us as basketball as much as football. We are a great football state, but we think we have basketball talent as well. So every time we go out there on the court, we want to make sure people know who we are and we leave a lasting impression on that court, whether it be offensively, defensively, showtiming with dunks or passes, playing flashy, whatever it is. You always want to make sure that people remember that Florida is a basketball state as well.
So if you look at all the guys that played in college basketball last year, anyone from a freshman to seniors in college last year, who would be like your dream team of guys from the state of Florida? So if you're gonna start with the starting lineup, like who's the starting five guys from the state of Florida that played in college basketball last season?
Definitely, I'm gonna put me in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go Scotty Barnes from Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm gonna go with my high school teammate Michael Okuchu, who plays at Youngstown. That's my boy. Um, I'll take Trey Mann from Florida, good guard from University of Florida. I'll take another Florida State kid, actually a South Florida kid, Raekwon Gray.
Mm-hmm.
Call him Turk. Yeah, I like Turk. Good player.
Who's gonna come off the bench and who's like your four or five guys that's coming on their rotation off the bench?
Uh, I'll go with my teammate here at Lafayette, Ty Perry, defensive menace, makes the trip up the court terrifying for offensive players. Great point guard, so I'm gonna take Ty Perry. Big Ten player, Trent Frazier, University of Illinois. Played against him growing up. Great player. I'm gonna shout my man out, Ralph Saint from Miami. Plays at Central Michigan. Good wing player, 40+ inch vert.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably rock out with those 8.
Absolutely. Well, let's hop in your high school career because you stay at one place for 4 years. You create a great legacy out there as well. So walk us through that. Like, why did you originally decide to choose to go attend St. Thomas Aquinas?
Well, for one, great academic school. It's a private school, so they have great academics. The teachers really value the education there for athletes and non-athletes. And the athletic opportunity they have with the facilities. They have 2 gyms, great weight room. I don't know if you know, but we have one of the best football programs in the nation. So all the facilities are going to be top tier. So those are two key reasons why I wanted to transfer there.
Now that's a huge thing for a lot of guys because, as you mentioned, like you're in an environment where you have a lot of top athletes. I know some people say like, the prep school, like for example, we talked about earlier, Mount Vernon IMG. Like you're surrounded against a lot of guys that are wanting to be professionals, that want to be collegiate players, and it might not be the same sport for basketball, but just being in a school and being in an environment where you're kind of surrounded by guys that also want that college dream, that want that pro dream eventually. How much did that push you throughout your career there?
A lot. I had a lot of teammates that played in college basketball, whether it be D1, D2, or D3. That competition is there. I know it's words used a lot. They have the videos on social media of it, but you have that culture. Of guys we're pushing each other every day in practice, or whether it be open runs or the weight room. We really want each other to get better because, like you said, we all want to play at that next level.
Well, your 2 upperclassmen years really were your breakout seasons, especially your senior year. You averaged over 20 points per game, have a really an incredible season there. But kind of just go through your overall career, like just walk us through some of the highs and the lows of your high school career.
We'll start off probably my freshman year playing varsity. That was a great experience for me to play against older guys, stronger guys. So I kind of get a taste of what it was like to play at that level. And then coming into my sophomore year, I was kind of used to the speed of the game. But now, you expect you to make an impact because you've been here before. And then junior, senior year, it's trying to get an offer now. So you're not really just playing to win. Well, obviously trying to win, but not just that, because you want to try to get a free education, play the next level, and pursue your dreams of playing pro. So definitely my last 2 years, I took that jump because I knew I wanted to play college basketball.
And for you, as you mentioned earlier, you were under recruited for a guy that went out and averaged 20 points per game in the state of Florida with as much talents there. How to be hard, like kind of looking at yourself and saying, well, my friend's getting a ton of offers. This guy's getting this offer. This guy's ranked. This guy's getting this attention on kind of goes on that list and all that. But like, how did you handle that? Like, how did you deal with having your name not be talked about as much as maybe other guys did and not getting the offers you probably were hoping for?
It was tough. It was definitely tough. A lot of times I knew I had the talent, but for some reason I was underlooked and under recruited. But my faith, that's really what kept me going. Just knowing that God had a plan for me, knowing I put the work in, and just trusting in myself. Uh, like I really didn't get my offer until halfway through my senior season, and Lafayette was my only offer. That came through an email. Me and my dad made a highlight tape. We emailed a whole bunch of schools, and Lafayette was the only one that replied, and that's how I ended up here. So just kept working. Kept putting numbers up, and really the biggest thing just kept my faith.
I know some guys said that the reasoning behind guys maybe being slept on is that when you come to a state, especially a state like New York or Florida or California, some people might say, well, it's a positive. You have so many guys, so many coaches looking at different players. But at the same time, there's so many players to look at that sometimes you can get lost in the mix, especially if you're not, per se, a guy like you mentioned, Scotty Barnes, a guy's going to be a first round pick in a year. Like, how did you deal with that? Like, why do you think you weren't getting the offers you probably deserved?
I think probably one of the things was I didn't play on the circuit team for AU. I didn't play on the EYBL, UAA, or Adidas Gauntlet circuit. So I probably didn't get as many looks from college coaches at tournaments like Peach Jam or UA finals, things like that. And our high school team wasn't one of those, powerhouse teams. We were good. We had winning seasons both years I was there. We weren't like the U schools or IMGs or the Calvary Christians or Montberry. So college coaches probably weren't as locked into our schools as they were some other schools.
You mentioned that God obviously has a path for everyone, and clearly it's worked out great for you. But if you were to go back, or even if you were to advise somebody, like, would you tell someone that, okay, if you want to live out your college dream, maybe go to a Calvary Christian, maybe go to a bigger prep school or play on the circuit? Like, would that be advice you probably would give someone that's kind of going through this process as a freshman or sophomore?
I would definitely say so for the AAU aspect of it, because I feel like the way the game's going, that's where a lot of recruitment takes place now. It's not really as much how it is or years ago where coaches came to high school games and watched. Sure, the big time recruits, that does happen. But for guys like myself, you're really going to make your name on the circuit. That's how a lot of guys have gotten exposure. Guys like I know Colin Sexton, he wasn't really well known his sophomore and junior year. He burst onto the scene in the EYBL circuit. And that's how, he's in the league right now putting numbers up. So I would say definitely try to get on a circuit team or one of those teams that's going to be at those events to try to get your name out there.
So you didn't really go through the whole recruiting process this first time around. Like you said, you only had one offer. But when you did get that offer, like when Lafayette did say, okay, we want you to come to our program, take us that day and how you felt.
Man, I was shocked. The coach O'Hanlon had called me. I was walking to practice when he called me, and I was just shocked. And I was like, I want to tell him I want to commit right now. That's how excited I was. I wanted to commit right then, but I didn't. He told me he wanted me to come on official in February. It was December at the time when I got the offer. So I committed on my official visit up in February. So, but that day, man, I was so excited. All my hard work finally paid off, and I really didn't care if any other school wanted me because I know one school wanted me. So that's all that mattered to me.
So I know a lot of guys that are going through this process obviously can be drawn out, can be kind of stressful for guys. But when you found that school and before even that you found that school, like what were you looking at other options? Like I'm sure you in your family you're kind of saying, okay, I don't really have his offers yet. What were you kind of planning to do? Were you looking at maybe a JUCO route, going Division II, playing a post grad year? Like what were you thinking before you got that offer?
Yeah, I wasn't really interested in going into post grad route.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of high academic D3 schools interested in me,
Okay.
a couple of NAIA schools. So, worst come to worst, I could have did that, but D3 doesn't get full scholarships. So that was one of the problems there. Um, but I was definitely going to play college basketball somewhere, but I knew I had the talent to play D1.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my dream was. So I just kept working until I got it, and it happened. So
Now, before we get into your Lafayette career, we have to go through your family because you're not the only person that plays basketball in the Stephens bloodline. Your dad also played collegiately for a year. He also played high school, obviously, as well. You have two cousins also played collegiate basketball, one of which also played in the women's NBA. Just having basketball kind of run in the Stephens bloodline, like how has that been and what's it been like growing up in that?
man, it's fun. It's definitely fun. My cousin that played at LSU, Regine Moncrief, me and her are really close. When our parents were at work, we were all at grandma's house for daycare, and we would always play basketball in the backyard, beating each other up. And she was always better than me because she's older. She was faster, stronger. So she used to always beat me up, and that prepared me. She was better than most of the boys. We used to play in rec league games, and it was boys and girls playing together, and she was the best one on the court every game. So playing against her growing up definitely prepared me. My dad, I never beat him in one-on-one, and I'm 22. So definitely having people like that in my family, it's fun, and it's definitely made me the player I am today.
So I'm sure you played, like you already mentioned, many one-on-one games with all of them. Can you take us to the very first time you beat each one of them before?
The first time I beat Regine, she was coming off an injury.
No.
It wasn't as pleasing as it would have been, but I don't let her know that. I take the win, and I still haven't beat my dad. He won't play me because he knows I win, so he refuses to play me so he can stay undefeated.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, let's get into this college journey for yourself because you head in there once again, only one offer, under recruited, not a lot of spotlight on you yet, but eventually I'm getting 3 starts that season and overall pretty solid freshman year for yourself. 7 points per game, 2 rebounds, and assists, a steal. Take us to that freshman year for yourself.
For me, it was a big learning curve. We run a passing offense here at Lafayette. That's a style of play I never really played before. Still took me a while to adapt to the way we played, but it definitely enhanced my game for sure. Um, but that freshman season, yeah, I would definitely say just learning. That was the biggest thing for me. Um, obviously I had to get used to playing against bigger, stronger guys. Playing D1 basketball, coming from high school, I had to get stronger myself. But I'm just learning because when it comes down to it, basketball is basketball. No matter where you play, no matter who you play.
For sure. So there's one guy we do have to talk about, one of your teammates that you guys both get there as a freshman season. And you guys obviously develop a special duo up until this past year now, all 4 years again. That's with Justin. So walk us through that relationship. Like, did you guys know each other prior to getting on campus? You guys meet each other first to get on campus? Like, how that relationship first start with him?
Yeah, we didn't meet each other until campus. We don't have summer school here,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't meet him until the fall semester. That was the first time meeting him. And this first day of pickup, I knew he was one of the best shooters I've ever seen. The kid could fill it up. I think he shot our junior season close to 50% from three. I think it was like 48%.
Yep.
That's almost unheard of, really. And he got a lot of them up. It's not like he was taking one a game. So just from freshman year to senior year, just building that chemistry because we both played a lot as freshmen. Just building that chemistry and trying. We never got there to the championship game, but that's something that we both wanted. Both want professional aspirations. So just building that chemistry. Two guys that want to win. That's something special.
And this kind of look at the large picture of your career. Like you guys start off going only 10 and 21, 10 win season your sophomore year. Then you guys flip it around 19 and 12, 9 and 6 this past year, but over 500. But we know it probably could have been a lot higher had you guys not been affected by COVID and whatnot so much. But it's overall the growth you guys had because both you guys were combining for nearly 40 points per game this past year. Like, what's it been like seeing the way you two have progressed as a duo throughout your career?
I loved it, man. Our freshman year, we were really young. We had four freshmen who all played a lot of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So we were very inexperienced. So then we get to sophomore year, we had a lot of close games. The record didn't show that. We had a lot of losses. We had a lot of close games. So we knew we were on the cusp of something special. Then we get to my junior year, where we were juniors and we had the senior class. And now we start to win games. Like you said, we had 19 wins, almost had a 20-win season.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year, we only played 16 games. I think we played conference only because of COVID. But we still had another winning year above 500. So just the growth, go from, inexperienced guys to now we're the leaders. We've been here before. We know how to get wins now.
Now, a lot of people might look at the stats and say, oh, yeah, it just kind of easily comes together. But everyone that actually is in a situation in basketball, it's kind of hard to form a duo that both puts up great numbers but also wins games. So when would you say you two clicked? Like, when did it start coming together and you guys felt like, okay, we really are this duo. Like, we really know how to play alongside each other. Like, when did that click for you two?
Definitely our junior year. He averaged double digits every year of his career. For me, I didn't do that till my junior year. And then when that happened, we kind of realized, okay, yeah, we can do something special here. We started feeding off each other. We have two different play styles, but we both complement each other well, I would say. So that's kind of when that chemistry started to form real good.
Now, for whatever reason, throughout your career, there's two teams specifically that you tend to go off against and have career high in rebounds or career high in points in almost every time you play them. That's against Colgate and Boston University. What got into you when you play those two teams? Like, why do those happen to be the teams that you happen to go off against each time?
Colgate is always seen as the top dog in our conference.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you play one of the best teams in the conference, you kind of have an extra chip on your shoulder. And for me, Colgate kind of recruited me. They came down to watch my high school teammate, Michael Cucci,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, "Oh, we like your game. but we already have somebody coming in next year. So when I found out I would be going to Lafayette and I was in the same conference, I was like, okay, now it's payback time to show them y'all should have took me instead. So that's definitely why I always wanted to go against Colgate. And on BU, another same thing. Top team every year I've been here. I had a lot of guys in my class, so I always wanted to prove that I was one of the better people in the class.
When you got to go up against a former teammate, whether it be a former AU teammate or high school teammate, like what are those games like?
It's fun, man. It's fun. Just knowing each other's game from playing with each other in the past. You always want to have that one up. So you always want to beat them in the game. Always want to score more points in them. You want them to have more turnovers. You want to guard them. So it's always fun for sure.
That freshman year had one game for yourself that really was your breakout game, kind of showed what could come for you in the future. Came against the American school and obviously you put up 16 points, 6 assists, also had 2 blocks that game. How big was that game confidence-wise for yourself going down the road?
It was huge. After that game, I really remember thinking, okay, I can really do something special at this level. Because before that, I think I had my career high was like 11 or 12, something like that. So it was like, that's a good game for a freshman. But once I hit that 16 points and 6 assists, I was like, okay, now I can really do something special at this level. And I kind of just wanted to take off from there.
The sophomore year, once again, you guys finished about the same amount of win-loss record. You also had about the same stats, a little bit better in each category, but pretty much close to the same. So what was that sophomore year like for yourself?
Well, it kind of started off rough because I had pneumonia before the season. So that's why I missed the first 3 games of the season. And I didn't really get my win back until like the second time around in conference play. So that season was kind of bumpy for me. It didn't go the way I wanted to, but you can't control things like that. That's just the way it goes.
That is a difficult thing. We'll mention that obviously that in the senior year, we'll talk about that in a second. But when you're an athlete, and obviously the general fans might not realize that kind of the stuff behind the scenes, the guy that might go through a nagging injury, a guy that might be going through a sickness. But how, as a player, do you get locked back in the season? Like going through when you're a basketball player, we know you have to be in tip-top shape the entire season, especially that preseason getting ready to go into the year. How do you adjust? Like, how do you get ready for a season when you're battling a sickness or an injury?
A lot of ibuprofen and ice. A lot of ibuprofen and ice. When you're sore, you never want to miss a game. Guys who love to play, they want to be on the court no matter what to help their team win. So whether it be a sore knee, guys try to ice it up, get in the training room, get some recovery, take some ibuprofen. But guys always want to be out there competing and trying to help their team win. Because for me, I feel like I'm letting my team down if I'm not on the court. And I never want to be that person. So I want to make sure I'm always out there. I think durability is a big part of the game. So definitely want to make sure that I'm always out there on the court for my teammates.
Now, that junior year was your breakout year and your best collegiate season. You could obviously say this past year, too, you have his best stats, but it was like you said, it was a condensed season, very few games up and down. But overall, as a team, personal, you had an incredible junior year. So how'd you prepare for that? Like, what led to that breakout season for not only yourself, but also the team?
For me, I came into my junior year with a lot more confidence than I had my freshman and sophomore year. Coming in feeling very comfortable with the offense, knowing that this is my 3rd season, that I need to, have a great season in order for us to be successful. So those are 2 things I came in for my junior season. And I think as a team, that was our best defensive season we've had since I've been here. Defense wins championships. I know it's cliche, but I actually believe that. I think we're one of the best scoring teams in the conference. So I knew we were going to be able to score. But it was for us, it came down to defense and rebounding. And we did those 2 things well. And I think that's why we were very successful.
A key thing about you off the court is that you do value your academics immensely. Throughout high school, you finished with a 4.0 GPA. Then throughout college now, I believe it's around 3.6 or even higher, whatnot. But walk us through your academics. Like, why have you put such kind of an emphasis into your academics and really prioritize your school?
It's something my parents instilled in me when I was young. My mom's a teacher. My dad's a manager of a drug rehab program, so they're both high academics. And that's something they instilled in me as a child. As a kid, they say if you don't get good grades, you can't go play outside or you can't play video games. So as a kid, that's why. But as you get older, it really does translate to life success. That's another reason why I love Lafayette, because of the great academics we have here.
So long term, then, if it is after whenever you're done playing basketball, like what's the passion you really have? Like, what do you want to get into career wise?
Man, I've been trying to figure that out my whole life. I have no idea. For me right now, it's just all about basketball. I think when I'm done playing, I definitely want to stay in the game, whether that be coaching or maybe, becoming an athletic director someday, whatever the case may be. But definitely something, still related to basketball or sports as a whole.
Mentioned coaching and having once again a coach that's now been with you for 4 years at Lafayette that has been an incredible coach. He's been through the ups and downs of the life as an athlete. But discuss Coach Hamlin a little bit. Like, how has he impacted you throughout the past 4 years?
A big impact. Like I said, he took a chance on me. Just some kid from South Florida with no offers, no D1 offers, barely any interest, and to give someone a full scholarship who you never even seen play in person,
Mhm.
man, it's special. I can't thank him enough for that opportunity. And because he did that for me, I now have the opportunity to go play at a school like Minnesota. So I'm forever thankful for Coach O, everything he did for me. And he's a great human being. He really cares about every person on the team. Whether we're having a good day or a bad day, he's there for us. So, he's a great guy, and I'm forever grateful for the opportunity he blessed me with.
When would you two say you kind of connected? Because you also being the point guard, the guard, like we know that's a position that really prioritizes needing a relationship with a coach. Like when did you two click? Like when did he start like really trusting you? You start trusting him. Like when did you really feel that you two clicked?
Probably my sophomore year.
Mhm.
I started at the one. So, I think that was the year we kind of, clicked. Because the point guard is kind of like the coach on the court. So, I had to be there for him. He had to be there for me. So sophomore year was definitely that year we formed that bond.
When he first told you you're gonna be starting, take us to that first day. I know it was your freshman season, but like walk us to that day he first told you you're a starter.
I couldn't believe it, because the whole preseason I had been like in the second string. So
Mhm.
when he told me I was starting the first game, I was like, "You sure? You sure about that?" But he said he needed defense, so I went out there, and that was the only thing I tried to do. I wasn't worried about scoring. I was just out there trying to defense and make plays for my team.
And you're kind of an all-around guy. Like I said, you are a point guard. You can kind of run that combo guard too. Like, if you need to play off ball, you can definitely do that too. But you're also a guy that can score at will. We clearly have seen on many different occasions that they're all high school and college level. You can also facilitate to a degree, and you're also a great defender. So how have you learned to accept roles and grow in all the different aspects of your game?
For me, I just want to win. That's the biggest thing for me. Like my junior and senior year, I came off the bench. um, I think being probably the best player, if not the second best player on the team, you don't really see guys come off the bench. So that just kind of shows that I do whatever it takes to win. My freshman year, I played about 20 minutes a game, but really I was out there just for defense. Coach wasn't even expecting me to score, and I accepted that. A lot of guys, when things don't go right, especially these days, a whole bunch of people entering the portal and something's not going right. I'm a firm believer in fighting through adversity. So that's something I've been taught in my upbringing, and that's something I live by. So whatever role a coach wants me to do, I'm gonna go out there and make sure I do it to the best of my ability.
That's unique because, as you said, we know the transfer portal, and there's many different reasons. Like, obviously, each guy has a story and the reason to transfer.
Right.
But, like you said, a lot of these guys sometimes are questionable moves. Like, you're getting opportunity, but maybe it's not as a starter. Maybe it's not exactly the way you want it yet. But you, like you said, you locked in. This is a different occasion. Obviously, you're transferring, you have the extra year eligibility. It's a different role for you, obviously. But, like, what allowed you to buy in? Like, why is that something? Because we look at you, you clearly were the maybe the best or second best player on the team this past year, and you only started 3 games. Like, was that ever frustrating for you? And why did you decide to lock in and say, okay, I'm going to take this bench role and be the best I can be at it?
It wasn't really frustrating because I knew at the end of the day I was going to play over 30 minutes a game, and that's basically a starter. So,
Yeah.
like I said, I accepted it. I just went out there. He wanted me to come off the bench, so I called myself Lou Will. Just go out there, try to get buckets off the bench, accepted my role, and just try to help the team win any way I can.
That's a huge thing you just said too, because I think this is something I keep trying to tell different guys that buying into the bench role, especially a six-man job, and we see, for example, Florida State, Scotty Barnes once again, he was
Mm-hmm.
utilized as a six-man. We know he was by far the debatably best player on that team. Obviously, he's going to be a top 10 draft pick this year. He didn't start this year. He comes off the bench and embraces that role because you're talking about NBA wise, we know how valuable it is. Lou Will,
Right.
Jamal Crawford, J.R. Smith back a little while ago, like Jordan Clarkson this year. Like it's constantly guys that play and produce off the bench are very, very valuable. So how have you learned to do that? Because I know some guys say you can kind of sit back, you watch the games unfold, and then you go into the game. But how has that benefited you in terms of the way you play by coming off the bench?
Yeah, just when the game starts, you kind of get a feel for the way the game's going. When the game starts, the starters, they're the ones that they're doing it. When you're on the bench, you can watch with a critical eye, and then you know what you need to do when you come in the game. Whether you come in the game, okay, we need to get some defensive stops, so that's what I'm gonna focus on. Or we're in a scoring drought, I need to come in and score the ball. So those are sort of some key things that you can do coming off the bench. And everybody needs a great bench. I've seen all the championship teams. Like if you look at Baylor this year, they've had a great bench. They have a lot of depth. So a lot of people are just focused on trying to start, but really, if you're coming off the bench and you're out there playing, you can impact the game in many ways.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't agree more, man. Well, let's head into that junior year a little bit deeper because you obviously had a pretty solid year, averaged 12 points per game, 3 rebounds, first double-digit season. But there really was a stretch more towards the end of the season when Justin goes down. He has to leave for the rest of the year, and you step up and start averaging 16 points per game, and that's really what led you into your senior campaign. But how big was that for you? Like, how did you take on that role, and how did that help you then for your senior year?
Yeah, with Jaws going out, I think he was averaging about 16 that year. I knew we needed some scoring, so with him going out, I wanted to take that role. I accepted the role to try to help my team scoring, and they had faith in me. They wanted me to get my shots up, so that's what I did. I went out there every night. I was in the gym working on my game. So when the game came, it was easy. So just out there every night, just trying to work. My teammates had faith in me, so that made it a whole lot easier.
So then COVID comes into play, and we know you guys have to sit out for, at that point in time, you didn't know how long it was going to be. But what was the biggest thing you keyed in on? I know each athlete kind of prioritized something that they really want to improve on. So what was that thing that you really improved on during the off season?
Shooting. I still have a long way to go. Still working on my shooting every single day. But I was lucky to have a goal at my house that we found. So I was able to get a lot of shots up in quarantine. So I was definitely trying to just really work on my shooting during the summer and the off season. Try to get my shot more and more consistent.
So you get into the season, you've already had 3 normal college seasons, and this year we know is wild, as we already discussed. So take us through this year, because you guys were one of the schools that got hit harder than a lot of programs. Only played, like you said, 15 or 16 games. You guys ended up playing one team alone 6 times this year, which obviously is not as fun as anyone really wanted. But how was this year for you to take us to the ups and downs of it?
Man, it was crazy. It was really like a roller coaster. The Patriot League, they had the games this year on Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
So, or was it Friday, Saturday? I can't remember, but they were back to back. And that's something I never did in my college career. So that definitely took some getting used to after like the first 3 weekends. My legs were always dead by that second day. So that definitely took some getting used to. And like you said, it's just the unknown. We weren't supposed to play over 6 times, but that's what happened. So you don't know who you're going to play. You don't know when you're going to play them. So you just always had to be ready and locked in every single day because you never know what was going to happen.
It's almost like a 7-game series per se in NBA or something, but like, how did you guys handle that game? I know sometimes when you play a team that many times, it turns into a rivalry. Did you start getting a little more intense each time you guys played, or did it kind of turn into a thing where, okay, we're playing you guys again, let's just get this over with?
No, I definitely got more and more chippy every single time. I know one of the games, it might have been the fourth time we were playing them, and warm-ups, somebody said something slick to one of my teammates on the bench. So we were just sitting there on the bench in warm-ups, and it was like 15 guys all huddled up, like it wasn't a fight about to break out, but it was leading towards that. Mm-hmm. So we were definitely tired of each other. We had beat them more than they had beat us at that point, so they definitely wanted to win. So it made the game fun, but at the same time, if you got people who play that many times, you aren't supposed to play each other that many times. Something bad going to happen eventually.
Mm-hmm. And you personally kind of developed a lot more of a consistent scoring approach to yourself now. As you said, 16 points per game, but that included 13 of your 15 games were double-digit scoring. You also had 2 30-point outings. Take us through your consistency, because getting that consistency where you're able to go out there and score and be a reliable scorer for your team each night is not the easiest task to do. How did you develop that?
Definitely, throughout my entire college career, that's something Coach O challenged me to do, starting from my freshman year. Like you said, I'd have a 16-point game, and then the next game I'd go out and score 4. And if you want to be a good player, no matter where you are, consistency is very key. So he challenged me to be consistent. He said, whether it starts in practice, coming out every practice, and trying to be consistent. So that's something I really, really harped on this year. And I know in order for us to be successful, I had to be one of the main scorers on the team. So that's something I really wanted to focus on.
All right, 2 more things before we get into your transfer to Minnesota. One of which is you look back and now your entire 4-year career out there. What would you say was your favorite memory? Like, what's that first memory that comes to mind? Like, what's your favorite time or favorite memory from your time out there?
One of my favorite memories was our playoff win my junior year against Army. They had beat us twice in the regular season that year. Jaws, we didn't have Jaws. Jaws tore his ACL, so we didn't have him going into the playoffs. And we really bonded as a group that game. We came together. We were really locked in defensively. We came out and got a great win at Army. And it's hard. I know it's hard to be a team 3 times. And so we really used that to our advantage. We went out and got a huge win. Unfortunately, we didn't make it any further. We lost to Colgate in the next round, but that was one of the best wins I've had here at Lafayette.
Last one about talking about Lafayette is who would you say would be your funniest teammate throughout your career there?
Definitely Tyrone Perry, man. That's another Florida boy. I put him on my Florida team. That man's hilarious. He's my roommate. He's been my roommate the past 2 years. He can turn any down situation, make everybody smile, have everybody laughing. Yeah, that's my boy. He's one of the funniest people I ever knew.
Well, you put in the transfer portal, you decide to use your extra year eligibility, and we know you ultimately end up at Minnesota. But this was a lot different process than we talked about before. You had much more than just one opportunity available to you this time. So take us through this process. Like, what was your life like in the portal?
Man, it was crazy. A lot of schools are reaching out. It's something I wasn't used to at all. But I was blessed, to have opportunity to have all those schools reaching out to me, showing interest. It was fun, but it definitely got a little hectic at some times. But I loved it though. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
So when you're narrowing down your options, like I said, you choose Minnesota. Was there a number two option, number three option? Like, who would you say is kind of like that second favorite school if Minnesota wasn't in play?
Yeah, I would definitely say Loyola Chicago and University of South Florida. Those were on top two, other than Minnesota. Those coaches showed a lot of love throughout the whole process, and they were in communication with me the most consistently, I would say.
So how was Minnesota able to win you over? Like, obviously, Coach Ben Johnson comes in. He's a rookie coach, so you don't really get too much experience of backing behind what his history has been as a coach. Like, how were they able to win you over?
Well, he recruited me a little bit when he was at Xavier, so we already had a little bit of a relationship. And then once he got the job at Minnesota, he kept on recruiting me. Obviously to have a chance like to play in the Big Ten, which I think is the best conference in college basketball, it's hard to turn that down. Minnesota, they have great facilities. It's a great school. Ben Johnson's a new coach. I love the vision he has for the program, how he sees me fitting in the program. So it's a lot of stuff that I really couldn't pass on, and for me, it was a no-brainer.
Now, we know at the end of the day, this isn't a situation you're going into that's been winning for a long time now. It's been a rough, rocky past few years. That's why there's been a coaching change now. And there's not going to be a lot of consistency. Like, everyone coming in on this roster hasn't really played together. You got guys coming from all over the country, some guys coming back home to play back where they're from. But the way you see this roster panning out right now, we got Peyton out there, Parker, Jameson, Sean, Luke, yourself, obviously, Train coming in as a high-level freshman. Like, what's your expectations for the year? Like, what do you expect this team to get done this year?
I think we're going to make some noise, to be honest with you. One thing I think we all have in common is we want to win. A lot of guys, maybe we're under-recruited in high school. Me, myself, Sean, Luke, Jameson, we're all coming from mid-majors, if you will. And we think we should play at this level the whole time. So now we're finally getting the opportunity. I think we're really ready to show people what we're capable of. I think we're all coming in hungry. I really think we're going to do some big things this year in the Big Ten.
A lot of you guys are older. A lot of you guys only have 1 year left of college basketball, maybe 2 years for a couple of cases. How's that going to help you guys? Because obviously you guys are going to have to get to campus and build chemistry up pretty quickly, not really having any chemistry with anyone there. How are you guys going to get that chemistry together and go out there and play?
Like you said, we have a lot of experienced guys who played college basketball for 4 years. And when you play a while, you kind of you just know how to play. And I think that's something that a lot of us are bringing to the table. And we're going to, show that in practice. I think we're going to form chemistry pretty fast. Like I said, I think we're all hungry. We all want to win. So I think we're going to do some good things.
So when you talk to Coach Johnson, what does he want you to bring to the team this year? Does he want you to possibly be a guy competing for that starting job, point guard, maybe off-ball shooting guard? Does he want you to be that sixth man? Like, what is his role kind of envisions for you this year?
Yeah, he told me he wants to play both guard spots. Obviously I scored the ball well at Lafayette, bring that in to Minnesota as well. But I think the biggest thing that he's preaching to a lot of us is defense. He wants to build a defensive identity. He wants gritty guys who are going to come in every day, do their work, and really focus on defense. I know he said he wants an offense, everybody to be a threat. So we're all going to have the opportunity to score. We're going to have a lot of unselfish guys with the good assist to turnover ratios. So I think we're all going to help each other. We're all going to make each other better. And the style of play he wants to play with, I think it fits our style of play a lot.
So why should Gopher fans be excited for Coach Johnson? They've had, like I said, a rough kind of past few years in terms of success. They've had a good start last year, then obviously fell apart, and there's been a lot of ups and downs there. But why should Gopher fans be excited for what Coach Johnson will bring to Minnesota?
Because the energy he's bringing to the program. He's an alma mater of Minnesota, so obviously he has a lot of chip on his shoulder because he wants to, he wants to win because that's where he played at. It's not like any other job for him. And they should be excited just because, like I said, the energy he's bringing to the program, the vision he has. He wants guys. I know Minnesota's big on having in-state guys. He's gave out a lot of offers to younger guys who are still in high school to Minnesota State guys. Because I know a lot of people were mad at Chet went to Gonzaga. They wanted him to come to Minnesota. But I think that's something that the fans are pretty happy that he's doing. I think that's recruiting. That's the thing they're happiest about.
You're only going to get 1 year out there of eligibility, but what do you all want to get done? Like, what's your goals for the season? Like, what do you want to get done in your lone season out there?
For me, the biggest thing is making the NCAA tournament. I haven't been my 4 years in college. I know some of the guys that are coming here transferring haven't been. So I think the biggest thing is try to get to that dance. And, as we saw this year, once you get there, anything can happen. So the biggest thing is trying to lock in Big Ten play, pre-conference play, and try to get to that dance.
Lafayette's a great school, but we know there's not going to be too many fans that come out there to be able to watch, at least compared to what you're going to be getting at the Big Ten level, and especially when I was school like Minnesota. But when you get out there and you're going to play in hopefully a packed out arena out there, what's going to go through your mind? How are you going to adjust to playing that big of a stadium?
Man, it's been a dream of mine for a while now. As a kid, you always have like imaginary scenarios in your head when you're playing by yourself with the crowd cheering, games on the line. So that's an opportunity I'm really looking forward to. I know Minnesota has great fans, one of the best fan bases in the nation. They come out to Williams Arena, try to pack the arena every night. I think it seats 14,000. So to play in front of people like that, it's an opportunity I'm looking forward to.
Now, in terms of this roster, like I know they're still not complete. There's still some guys transferring in. Guys could still transfer out. Like the portal's still going to be going crazy. But what other guys are you guys possibly targeting? Like who are some guys you might be aware of? You guys looking at? Is there anyone that you'd like to possibly play to recruit along with you? Like who's some of the guys that people could possibly look at or expect to possibly become Gophers in the future?
One person I know right now is Stephon Mitchell from Boston College, the four-man. I know he's a Minnesota native, so we have a high advantage right there. He released his top 4 or 5 the other day, and we were in there. So I think we have a good chance of getting him. We need some more bigs. I think we only have like 2, and the rest are wings and guards. So if we can get him, that'd be a big pickup for us because he's another experienced guy who played at a high level for 4 years. So that'd be a great addition to our team.
And he ultimately is the kind of the ultimate glue guy. We know all the stuff he's accomplished so far at Boston College, but when you talk about adding a him, like if he decides to come out here and play and he holds down that center spot, we added all the other guys we already mentioned. How good can this team be this year?
Really good. Like you said, if we have him coming with 4 years experience in the ACC, and we have guys who have put up great numbers at these other conferences who have played 4 years, I think we have a lot of experience. And we have like a young talent like Trayton coming in, Booth and Isaiah who've been at Minnesota for 2 years playing at that level. I think we can do some great things.
Absolutely, man. Well, a few more things before I let you go. One of which I was like wrapping up discussing building a legacy for yourself. So when you are done playing basketball, like when that journey does come to a close down the road, what do you ultimately want to be remembered for what you achieved both on and off the court?
Just a guy who gave everything he had. I want to be known as a winner and a guy who gave everything he had. Some people want to be known as, one of the best scorers or something like that. But for me, I just want to be known as, a player that won and gave everything he had, whether it be in practice or in the game. Just going out there every night, knowing that if we have EJ on our team, that he's going to play as hard as he can. And that's one of the biggest things for me. That's something that I've been doing throughout my whole life and part of the reasons why I am where I am.
You've given many references to God before throughout this interview now, and me being a believer, I know you are as well. So discuss your faith a little bit. Like, how has God helped get you to the point you're at today?
Man, God has done. The only reason why I'm here today. Like I said, having no offers halfway through your senior year, and then getting a full scholarship just from an email. You can't convince me that's otherwise. That's nothing but God. My grandparents are owners of a church that I attend. They're the pastor and co-pastor. So I grew up in the church my whole life. That's all I know. Religion is a big part of my life, and it's going to continue to be a big part of my life. Just everything I do, I try to do for God. I try to get to the highest level of basketball possible, just to spread the word of God. I think that's my purpose in life. I try to get more people into the kingdom of heaven as I can through the game of basketball. So that's my purpose here. And like I said, I give all the praise to him. He's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Let me know something else. I was like touching up on different guys that are believers, and as you said, you want to bring as many people as possible into God's kingdom throughout your basketball. But because of you playing it, representing maybe even fans, but when you talk about a locker room, I know there's some guys that are believers, like Parker. I know the super strong Christian too. How do you kind of go help those other guys, like guys that might not be believers, guys that might be kind of on the fence of their faith? Like, how do you help bring them to God? Like, is there a way that you kind of have done it before? Like, how do you kind of do that?
Well, I think that the main thing is not being too aggressive or too pushy. Because when you do that, that actually pushes the people away from religion and Christianity, in this example. So just continue to be yourself. I would say just give slight hints and dares to God, or try to say what God has done for you. But I think the main reason why people are turned away is people being too pushy with religion. That's something I don't do. I never try to do that. I don't force religion upon anybody. So, just the way you live your life, people notice that. And sometimes they want to be a part of that. And when that's the case, share your knowledge.
You have scripture throughout your bio. You have different things that God first in your bio too. What led you to be so vocal about your faith? Because there's a lot of believers out there that might be believers, but not be as vocal about it, and that's okay too. But like, what's led you to be so vocal? Like, why do you want to be such a big, bright light to God's kingdom out in public?
Well, one of the people that motivated me to do that was actually my cousin, who we talked about earlier. She's a big believer in God. And throughout her career at LSU, the first thing she always said was, I just gotta thank God. And it just became a trend where people already knew it. So she would kind of laugh when she said it. So she was a big role model for me. I know when I got to the stage I am today, I wanted to do the same thing she did. So just trying to follow in her footsteps and preach the word to God.
Amen, man. Well, my final thing for you: give Gopher Nation your three biggest goals you have set for the season out there.
One, make the NCAA tournament. Two, hopefully, I don't know how things are going to be with COVID, but try to get a full packed house every night in Williams Arena so we can have the barn and the barn animals in there going crazy. And three, get as many wins as possible. We're trying to get a 21 season, so make the tournament 21 season and get the barn packed.
Absolutely, man. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking time to come on today. Congrats on the big move once again, man. I'm excited to see what God's got next for you, man.
Thanks, Zach. I appreciate you having me on here, man.
Of course, you're welcome on, man. God bless.
Thanks, man. You too.